Hey everybody, this is Ian with Votocycling, and I'm back with another disc golf video. This is going to be one of my vlogs, nothing professional or anything like that. I just got a request from a subscriber, and I figured I'm going to try, a first attempt at it, and then if I figure out any other information later, I'll try to do an update on it later. But I figure I have to start somewhere. So I'm at a park nearby my house, and I'm going to try to capture some of the driving basics or fundamentals on video and see if that helps any of you at all. So the topic today, as you maybe already figured out, is driving. And in order for me to talk about this topic, I can't talk about driving without talking about the disc itself. And it's important for me to understand what exactly is it that I'm trying to do when I'm driving on the tee box. So any sport, pretty much most sports that try to propel an object has a tool of some kind. So for instance, ball golf, you have clubs. Baseball, you have a bat. The pitcher propels the ball to the batter propels the ball a lot farther away using a bat. So if you noticed, anytime you have a tool other than your own hands, you're going to get the object to go a lot further. In disc golf, all you have is your whole entire body. You cannot use any other object as a tool besides yourself to propel this object towards the basket. So with that being said, the first thing I have to understand is how to propel this disc out of my hand with the amount of muscle mass that I have. And I don't have a lot of muscle mass. Women have less muscle mass than men. So obviously most men are going to be able to throw a lot farther than women. But that all comes down to technique. It's not just about muscle mass, it comes down to technique. And you have to know what technique is it required to get that muscle mass to work as full force. So with that being said, about force, what I would do is grab one of these discs. I would grab a fairway driver. Don't start out with a 12-speed driver or a 13-speed driver. I would start with at least a fairway driver is the fastest driver I would recommend you use, and then go down from there, or even start with a putter. I'll try to show these and demonstrate as much as possible throughout this video. But what I would start with is a slow disc. If you're comfortable holding a fairway driver versus a mid-range or a putter, then hold a fairway driver and practice with it. But bottom line is, I would get electrical tape. I used to do this with my old discs before I give them away. Get electrical tape, tape as even as you possibly can right down the middle of the disc. And then once you get that middle down the disc, take another piece of electrical tape and tape it right here. So it looks like a T when you're done. And then what I would do is I'd take your hand and hold the other side that doesn't have the T, the top of the T. And basically the idea is to get all the force from the toes of your feet all the way up your body, through your arms, into your wrist, and you are trying to get that force to go all the way towards the T of the disc. That is the idea. How do you do that? It is complicated. It is very complicated. And the only way for me to describe this to you or explain driving to you is to break it down as much as I possibly can, because that's what I did in my head in order to break it down. I could talk to the pros all day. I could talk to more advanced and experienced players all day to help me learn how to drive. But at the end of the day, if I don't understand what exactly is it I'm doing, it really wouldn't help me to figure out what my technique is, because my body is built differently from everyone else. There's no other person in the world that has a body that is exactly like mine. They might have it similar, so they might have a similar driving style as me, but it is ultimately going to be unique. With that being said, once you've done that, once you've taped it, once you've got the tee, once you've got your hand held on the other side, and once you know that the whole idea is to get as much force as you can from your body transferred into the disc, into this point, so that the disc will automatically, naturally rip out of your hand on its own, because it has so much force and so much momentum built into it from the rest of your body. It will fly literally on its own. It will literally rip out of your hand on its own. You do not have to cock the wrist. You do not have to do anything with your wrist itself, because the disc will just automatically have so much force in it. It will fly out of your hand and go in the direction where your shoulders and body at angle that it's in. That's a whole different topic, but that's the idea, is to get the disc to have enough force and enough momentum for it to fly out of your hand on its own and have enough inertia to go towards the basket. So with that basic information in mind, let's go look at my driving technique. Okay, now that I've talked about the fundamental of what it means to transfer force into this disc and try to propel it out of your hand and let it fly on its own naturally, let's talk about the stages. When I first started playing, I just took drivers because I thought drivers are meant to go far. So I just took drivers and I started throwing them. But then I'm like, why is it that it won't go as far as I would like for it to? And what I realized was that I need to learn how to transfer all the force in my body into this disc. And it required learning in stages. So first of all, my feet, my toes. I have to learn how to control those muscles down there. And then I had to learn how to control the muscles in my knees in conjunction with my feet, with my ankles. Then I had to learn how to incorporate the ankle, the knees, into my hips. And then I had to learn how to do that into my torso and my shoulders, and then ultimately my arm, to propel this disc. My head does have an effect on this. If you put your head down, you actually will have more of a center of gravity. And all these little muscles in your body, if the muscle is off just slightly a little bit, you will be out of balance and you will lose some of that force that you're trying to transfer into your disc. And that's how you get maximum distance, is you try to get as much force as possible, the most amount of maximum force as possible, and kind of gather all that together using all your muscles and transfer it into this disc. The first thing is, with your feet together like this, it's out of balance. It's kind of hard to move, you can see here. But if you step it out like this is still kind of hard to move. Like, you can see my hips are not moving very easily. But if I do something like this, so let's go back over here, like this is a comfortable position. I can move back, I can weight transfer, I can turn, I can do a lot of things comfortably, but I still have the center of gravity because my feet are far apart just enough, the right amount of distance. So that's number one. So then what I started doing was I started just standing here and holding it, just not actually throwing it, and just learning how to use my ankles and weight transfer and pull my arm like so. And if I do this is great. I'm using my hip, right? But you can see there's no weight transfer. I'm losing force. If I do weight transfer like this, but you see that my knee is not turning. So when it's not turning like this, when I try to rip the disc out, I'm not turning like this, so I'm losing force. So all of this actually matters, is that with the hip transferring, with the weight transfer, and actually torso and shoulder, everything comes together and leads to sending maximum force into the disc. So that's the second thing, the second fundamental of driving, is that learning how to basically just stand here. Just go out to a field and just stand here, or in your home, or whatever you don't feel like making a fool and having public people looking at you. Just to do this. And you can see my foot just naturally do this, start doing this. Don't even worry about technique yet. Just start doing this, and then realizing in your brain what it is that your ankles are doing, what it is your knees are doing, what it is your hips are doing with your arm. So start that coming up. So you're like, do you feel comfortable with your ankle twisting like that? Or do you feel comfortable with your ankle, with the toes twisting like this, and then with the heel of your ankle twisting like this? Is that more comfortable? This will give you more force than the toes, because this is a focal point. So if you do like this and weight transfer a focal point, this is going to give you a much better focal point and more force versus on the tippy toes. When I'm on my tippy toes, I'm actually losing balance, and that's where some of the force gets lost. So that's the start, is your ankles and your feet. The next thing is your knees. So your knees, it allows you to bend so that you can do a weight transfer. And then it also allows me to bend when I pull the disc or my hand back. It allows me to twist the heel onto the heel of my leg. So the knee also has an importance. It has to turn a certain way. It has to turn the right moment when the weight's being transferred, when the tip of my toes and my front feet onto my heel, so that I can get that force. So the knees has also a huge factor as well. So you can see all these things work together. So go out there and or just in your house, take a towel, whatever, just do this until You have that muscle memory until the muscle memory understands that whenever I go to the box and I want to throw off the tee, all these work together at the same time every single time to get that maximum force into your disc. And then up from the knees, now we talk about the hips. The hip, so we have the ankle, this is the focal point, it's not going to twist. The knee is twisting this way so I can do the pull back. And then the hips are now facing this way. But then the hips is going to be another part of the focal point as well, so that I could turn around, put the force up to my arms. So now the arm is the last thing that twists. So I twist down here, and then it's like a spring. So the spring starts down here, the force goes all the way up, and it lets go right up here. Do this a couple times. Just do this a couple times. And what you do is, this hand right here, put it wherever is comfortable where you're still balanced. If it's out here and you're balanced, that's great for you, because I can't get balanced with my hand dangling out here. I have to keep it close to my hips in order for it to be balanced. And what happens is when I pull through like this, my hand goes up to keep myself even more balanced right here, because I'm on the heel of my leg. So this hand, figure out where it needs to be for it to keep your body continuously balanced. So that's pretty much just the body. Once you figure all that out and you figure out that's your technique, and you figure out that you will feel the force in the towel, whatever object you're using in the house, you will feel that force and the towel actually pull out of your hand at the tip of it. And that's when you know you're starting to get force. Once you've done that, then go out and get a disc and start practicing with it. I started learning that throwing my putter was going to be the way to go. So what I started doing was just standing like this. I don't even take a step. I just stand like this, and I just pull and rip. And I just pull and rip. And once I started doing that, I could feel at the tip where the tape was that I told you earlier, at the tip of the disc, it wanted to go. Didn't even I don't have to throw it with my wrist or anything. It just wanted to go on its own because I'm transferring all this weight. And what you do is you pull it in towards you so that's at the center of gravity with your arms, because all this force is already coming up. So here, try to gather all that force into the disc and follow through. All right, I've talked about the technique and figuring out muscle memory in your body, from your feet into your knees, your legs, into your hips and into your body, to get the force into the disc, the maximum force as much as possible. The last part, which is I think really important, I mentioned a little bit in the previous part of the video, but the last part, and I just want to spend a separate chunk of the time with this part, and that's called, some people call it the hit, and some people call it, I think it's just called the hit. Some people call it, acceleration or whatever. But this last part is a culmination of all the force coming from your toes all the way up to your shoulders. And this is the part where it's really difficult for new players. And I experienced this when I started playing, and it's really difficult to understand. And the reason why is because all this buildup, the whole entire time you're standing like this, you're pretty relaxed, okay? You're pretty relaxed. And then when you get here, you panic because you're like, crap, I gotta propel this disc. But you don't have to think that way because you've already built all this force up. It's going to propel the disc on its own. So what players will do is, and I did this, is that when I get up here, I panic, so I just pull really, really hard. But what happens is when I pull here, I'm so tense, all my muscles are so tense, it's hard for me to actually follow through and let the disc fly on its own. So once you get all the force coming up, all the way up here, do not let that go. And the way you do that is called the hit. So hold the disc very firmly, very loose, pull. What you're going to do is go back, make sure your belly button, if this is called the reach back, the belly button is basically facing away from the basket. And then have the disc perpendicular to your hips, pull through, and then when you get here, right here, then you accelerate. And once you accelerate, so when you pull right through here, then you accelerate, that's when all the force that you've built up gets completely fully transferred to the disc, and the disc will propel on its own. All right? So you can do this in your house, get a towel, and you can even just stand here and just do this. Go so basically, put the towel up, do the whole motion, weight transferred, my belly button is facing away from the basket. My right leg is lifted up because all the weight is transferred back here, but I'm still perpendicular and I have a center of gravity. Then pull the disc very slowly, and when I get here, you can see now my leg is getting ready to turn because I'm on my tippy toes. Once I get here, rip, accelerate. And then I'm gonna do that again. So weight transferred, belly button away from the basket, pull through, accelerate. And sometimes my leg doesn't turn all the way, but it's because I'm just accelerating so fast. Make sure your whole entire muscles in your arms and everything are relaxed. They are relaxed, they're just firmly holding the disc. Do not tighten it, because when it's tight, it's a lot harder to actually pull through and twist your body when all of your muscles are tense. Just relax, 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 accelerate. And you can see all that momentum. All I did was just accelerate right here because there are all those forces coming up so much that I've twisted my whole entire body and I'm almost falling over there. But the whole entire time I was at center of gravity, it was after I released the disc is when I'm actually falling over because there's so much force, twist in my body that it's propelling more than just the disc. So that's called the hit. Pull, 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 accelerate. And when you accelerate, at this point right here, when I'm pulling like this, muscle relax, muscle relax, muscle relax, tense, accelerate. Because once you get here, all the force is coming through already. So firmly grab it even more and just accelerate. And once you accelerate, the disc will go. So that's called the hit, and that's really, it always has its own topic because it's really a hard concept for a lot of people to understand. But if you're a baseball player, it's really easy for you to understand. If you're a ball golf player, that's also easy for you to understand. Those of us who don't play baseball or ball golf, it's kind of hard to understand. All right, so I think that's, let's go see some drives. All right, so I gotta get this done because apparently there's a football game starting. Basically, I'm just gonna throw a couple shots with I'm gonna do it very slow. So another point I wanna make before I throw these discs is start off with like this, just stand still, and then work your way up, stand like this and do a step, and then do a pull through, and then do 1, 2, pull through, and then work in the X step, and then, or whatever hop step that Dave Falberg does, whatever step that you want to try and whatever, because by that point, you've already got this foundation time. And I only want to talk about the foundation. I don't want to talk about other things because everybody has their own taste. So that's what I did, was I started like this, and I would do a step, pull through, and then I worked into 2 steps, pull through, and then I worked into the X step, pull through. So, and then you start coming up with different ways to drive after that. But I just wanted to talk about the fundamentals. So I'm just gonna do a couple drives and then we'll go from there. I'm gonna throw first my putter, then my mid-range, then my fairway driver, then my destroyer. What I would recommend is start with a slow disc. If you can't get your putter to go straight, that's understandable. You're gonna have to get used to your wrist later. With the putters, I would practice with just standing still with just your wrist, and that way you'll have an idea of what your wrist is doing, if it's tilting or not. So I would move up to the mid-range, and this is why a lot of pros or just any advanced disc golfer in the world always recommends that if you want to practice driving, practice with your mid-range. For that reason, because it's forgiving in the sense that it won't just shank to the right or to the left unless you really are shanking it to the right or to the left. But it will allow you to understand what it is to try to get force into the disc and get it to propel out of your hand with a lot more ease because it's a slower disc and you don't require that much speed just so you can learn how to drive. So I'm going to do some of this. I won't do a lot of pullbacks because there are people out here and they're trying to get ready for a football game, so I don't want to hit anybody, so I won't do a huge pullback or anything like that. So here we go.
So while I'm driving, I just want to
try to do a few steps, nothing crazy.
That when you're practicing distance driving, I would recommend to go out on open field like I am right now and just throw and don't worry about accuracy yet. The accuracy will come with time after you've gotten your distance. But for now, just practice throwing the disc as far as you can in an open field like the one I'm doing now, and just get your technique down. Once you've got your technique down, then you can definitely work on your accuracy with your putters or your mid-ranges. So I just want to comment that on real quick while I'm throwing this.
Get off the fence. All right, start line is to where the disc is standing to the right. If I go all the way to the pole, the light pole right there, that is 300 feet. Okay, so let's see. I'll let you know if the disc goes or not. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. If it doesn't go 300 feet, I obviously need more practice. So why would I lie to myself? And that's another thing. Don't lie to yourself. Just be honest with yourself and you'll get more distance. All right, let's see. So this is technique from behind. This is my putter. I'm gonna do the same order again. So that's a little short of the pole. Putter, I think it's probably I don't know, 100 feet short, maybe, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. And I won't do much of a pullback because I'm in a park and there's not a lot of room to work with. Oh, this is turnover. Come back. All right, last one. So I'm at the putter, and you can see it right there, and the light pole. We're looking at about 40 feet out. So that's actually not bad. I threw it 260 feet with my putter. Let me go grab the other discs. My buzz is about 35 feet out. My destroyer is almost pin high. So last but not least, it's my F7, and that's actually about 40 feet out, maybe 35 from the pole. Okay, I hope that helps. I'm really not a pro or anything. I just learned how to drive on my own. The pros and the advanced players try to explain it to me. I really couldn't understand it very well. I had to literally break it down, and that's how I broke it down in order to understand and learn for myself, because I had to understand what it is that my body is capable of doing. So hopefully that helps. Also, if anyone advanced or pro is watching this, critique me, that's fine. I'm totally going to, I have a lot to learn left still, but pretty much what I got going on for me is that crescendo, that hit, that pulling slowly and then just snap or just accelerate. That crescendo is really what is giving me my drives, and that was really important for me. But I really couldn't do that with accuracy when my body's all out of balance. So, all right, this is Hien with Votocycling. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.